Hello Interloper here. Today I'm going to be talking about Blood Brothers and specifically the Raid Boss event. Although I'm talking about the current Raid Boss event, every Raid Boss event is basically the same thing, just with different monsters, a different map, and different elites, and of course different rewards. Um, so pretty much what I'll tell you today will apply to any event that is a Raid Boss event. To start out with, I will tell you this much. There will be a separate map just for this event, and if you are going on the normal maps, you will not be able to encounter raid bosses. You might get calls for help, but you will not be able to encounter them yourself. Generally speaking, it's very worthwhile to go on the special event map because not only will you get a lot of EXP, be able to train your elites, but you will also be able to get a elite that is a rare and can be evolved into an epic by beating the 5th zone. There are 5 zones, and they're pretty much easy zones, although you will be fighting 5 enemies at a time, so it might not be recommended for weaker players. Of course, having 5 guys on your team is very beneficial in a battle because in a raid boss battle, you will be able to use your front line and your back line all at once. So I'll show that in a bit, but first I'll show you as you're walking along, you will run into a raid boss, and you will also get calls for help from other people. This will either be random or people who are your event allies, which of course I'll talk about later, but generally speaking, you'll go through, and I clicked on the event tab in the lower right hand corner, and I get this list. As you can see here, it says battle. So I'll have a bunch of different bosses here, and people ask me for aid, so I'll click on one of them, and that's event allies. Now event allies are they're pretty much allies that you share points with. As you defeat bosses, you will get certain benefits from that. But your event allies, you probably want to start out with getting your event allies. There are people who are on your ally list, and you accept them to be event allies. And you want to choose allies that... Oops, sorry, I dropped my mouse. I keep doing that lately. But these are people who you have to trust to be active. Usually you want to wait just a few hours into the event starts to see who is actually active, who has jumped in on this event. And usually you want to go with those people as your event allies. You can choose 5 different event allies, and I will go through my 5 event allies here. And you can see it shows how many points they shared. Unfortunately, this is very laggy. So there's my 5 event allies. There are 5 random people I found on my list that were active. And as you see, they shared about 10% of all their points. Of course, if you add them later, you might not get 10% of their total points. It's basically every 10% of every point, the amount of points that they get since you made them your event ally. Kind of complicated. But either way, it's good to have active people. As you see, the person at the bottom of the list wasn't that active, so I didn't get that much from them. But, oops. So this is basically the overview of when you're battling an actual, what is it called? Monster. Sorry. Very tired at this point. So here we have Magma Giant 2, and there are actually 4 different levels of a boss. This would be the 2nd level. And what they basically are the evolutions. I'm going to quickly switch over here. But in this case, we have Magma Giant 2, Chaotic Magma Giant, and Chaotic Magma Giant 2. And basically what you need to know about this is these are the different evolutions. And in the beginning of the event, the first day, you will see a lot of Magma Giants, and they range from level 10 to level 50. Based on their level, their HP and their attack power, defense, whatever. Actually, their defense doesn't change, sorry. It's just their attack and their health that changes based on level. But basically saying the easiest to beat will be a magma giant level 10, while the hardest one will be a chaotic magma giant level 50. And you will not see the last evolution until the end, and those are called super raid bosses. They only appear during certain times, which will be pre-announced at some point in the game through an actual announcement when you start up your game. So the first day you'll get magma giant, and the amount of points, by the way, depends on not only the evolution but the level. So a magma giant level 50 will give more points than a magma giant level 10. Now, it's more complicated than just that. Let me go back over here. I'm going to go click on rewards, and where it says confirm. And I'm going to go over there in just a moment. Click. Okay. So, this is a general overview of the rewards screen. So you can see that the basic reward is 1,000 points. And let me just quickly go backwards a bit. This was a magma giant level 30. So that's kind of not exactly the best. Second tier, but just for attacking you get 1,000 points and 1 event coin, and event coins allow you to pull certain familiars, and you have a chance of getting elites. More about what an elite is later. But now as I go down here, the MVP, most valuable player, does the most damage. And by the way, forgot to mention that attacks are based on morale. You can either do a standard attack with 1 morale, or a super attack with 3 morale. And based on how much damage you do, if you're the most valuable player, you not only get this attack points multiplied by 3.5, you also get a sanguine shade. Sanguine, not sure how to pronounce that exactly. It's one of those words you never really hear in real life. But so just off the bat, if I do get the MVP reward, I get 3,500 points. So being an MVP is really good, although sometimes you don't want to waste the morale, and sometimes, you know, you might want to just attack 3 other guys instead. But if I go down here, mob bonus, if 6 people join in to kill this boss, it'll be multiplied by 1.2%. I mean, 1.2 times. Oh my goodness, I'm messing up so much. I'm very sorry. If I discovered this raid boss, I get a bugle. If I deliver the killing blow, I get a bugle. And then there's something wonderful here called the junior MVP. You can see at the bottom there. Times 2. So even if you aren't the MVP, if you come in second in the most amount of damage dealt, you will get your points multiplied by 2. So all those multipliers, they do add up. So if you get the mob bonus and you get the junior MVP bonus, it'll all add up. And there's also another one that they didn't mention. It's a 1.1 times multiplier that occurs when you attack something that is a event allies boss. So if they invited you into the battle, you will get a 1.1% if it's vanquished. By the way, all these rewards, they only come once the boss is actually dead. So I'm going to fast forward here and show the challengers. These are people who have attacked so far. I know it says no one has attacked. It did glitch. So here we have the person who's in first place. They will get the MVP reward if this boss is vanquished. Second place, they'll get the junior if this boss is vanquished, and so on and so forth. So you can see they obviously used the full 3 morale, because that's a pretty crazy amount, but they also have very good teams, very high rank. So looking at the challengers is a good way to see people's composition for their front line. You won't be able to see their back line, but you can get an idea of what different familiars they use and figure out what exactly you want to build your group to be. So yeah, morale. Just a general note, do not use your Gyalar horns, or however you pronounce that, because this is used very frequently as a bizarre currency. So it's better to just save them up and trade with them and get something you want with them or sell things for them than waste these, because bugles you get for free and they can't be traded. So now I'll move on to elites. And there are 2 different types of elites. I will actually have to bring it up here. Here we go. So there's two different elites. There are the uncommons that evolve into rare, and then there are the rares that evolve into epics. And there's one of each type in every single event. In this case, we have Gelda, who starts out as Gelda Elf Magus. Oh, these words. And then later turns into Gelda Elf Frostweaver too. Now this is the third evolution, but you can see they will always have a attack that is relevant to the boss. In this case, Icicle. It's against, magma golems, so that makes perfect sense. And you can use these in battle, and they will get a ×3 stat bonus while battling one of these bosses. So, in other words, all these stats, all of them, even your hit points, will multiply ×3. This also applies to your Warlord. Now, when you have the rare that evolves into an epic, let me quickly bring that one up. Give me a moment. I think his name is Getz. There we go. So Getz Steel Arm is the other one, or in another case, it would just be another rare that evolves into an epic. But as you can see, his stats are much better than the uncommon evolved into a rare. But when he is, I'm not exactly sure if he's max level or if he's fully evolved, but either way the multiplier won't be ×3, it'll be ×5. So you can have a massive stat bonus for this. And there's one other part. If you have a full team of the fully evolved version, you'll get a ×2 for your whole team, which is pretty crazy and pretty impossible to get unless you do spend a ton of money on this game. But let's say you're a free player, then you'll want to get this guy. You get one of these guys just from completing all 5 zones, so that's pretty nice. You get them also from using your event coins. It's a rare chance, but it's still worth it. And it might be worth it to evolve it for the event, although, if you don't get the full evolution by the end of the event, that's fine. But usually they have some sort of ability that does an immense amount of damage. So imagine that ×5, the amount of damage done. That's pretty crazy. And not to mention the fact that when you also attack a boss, your PvP rank bonus also goes into that. Pretty nice. But one thing to know about elites is they very easily gain skill levels. As you can see, it's only 6 to get to level 2. Another thing to note is that during the event, and only during the event, any elite, with that little seal that says elite right there, will gain double EXP. So it's good to put them in your band or brigade, and while you're going through the event area, level these guys up. So there's actually 2 specific ways how to build your team, and one, of course, is to build a bunch of elites and have your whole team consist of that, and that's particularly a good idea if you don't have very good familiars. Now, if you have a team of crazy epic familiars, you can just skip the elites altogether, because you'll be doing massive damage anyway. But just leveling up elites is pretty good. You will get a lot of the uncommons evolved into rares, so you might want to just load up your whole band to be 9 of them, and just your Warlord as the remaining one. You can't switch out your Warlord. But then you have a pretty solid team, and you can do a good amount of damage and still rank pretty high based on the amount of bugles you have. Now, there's another little secret that most of the time you don't hear about. There we go. This is one way how to deal immense amount of damage in this event, and that is with poison. If you poison the boss, and here's me fighting the boss, you see right there 99,999 damage. That was from poison at the end of the turn. Every time you poison this guy and turn goes by for him, you do that amount of damage with the poison. So if you have any familiars that can poison, it's definitely recommended to use them in this battle, because, you know, there's usually about, I think, 5 turns, so if you do that every turn, that adds a lot of total damage to the boss. And you, of course, are one step closer to getting Junior MVP or MVP. And also, you are timed. If you looked, let's see, in the earlier video, I think it was not this one. Sorry, a little disorganized here. There we go. There's a timer. When you get, when you run into one of these guys, just a normal Magma Giant 2, or Chaotic Magma Giant, you get 30 minutes. Now, the Super Raid boss, which only shows up during certain times, which is the fully evolved version, that has a 20-minute timer on it. So you have less time, and of course you can see the total HP here. Keep in mind that this is a team effort. There are 3 people here that did all this damage combined. So if within this amount of time people kill this, everyone will get their rewards. And then 10% will go to your event allies, and if your event allies kill anything, 10% will go to you. So, yay, a lot of event points. So, another good thing about this event is that based on the amount of points that you collect, you also get rewards. So, as you get more points, you will get rewards. Not just rewards at the end, but also rewards while you're actually doing this. So I'm going to scroll down here. You get Shades. You have a chance to get another Elite that gets Steel Arm, which is the rare that evolves into an Epic. And if I keep going down here, more Crystals, more Shades, another Gets. And at some point, you will be able to get the 3rd evolution of this. Usually I just sell this at the end of the event, because I like making better evolutions than just using, you know, a 3rd and then adding a 1 onto that. But, yeah, I'm going to scroll back here. So, then if I scroll all the way down here, your ultimate goal is there. 500,000 points. And why that's so good is that you get the boss as a familiar. And normally you can only get this boss if you rank within, I believe it's the top 1,500 people in this event. So, in other words, if you get 500,000 points and do not rank, you still have one. It's great, because anybody can get this if they work hard enough. So, at the end of the event, you can sell this on the bazaar for something you really want. And, I'm not entirely sure if you can get any beyond that point, because I haven't gone beyond that point at any time. I was actually 20,000 points away in the last event. It was so sad. So close, and it was all because of Hurricane Sandy. But, yeah, it'd be pretty nice to get it this time around. So, that's basically all you really need to know about this event. You just basically beat a ton of bosses, and, hope that you get Junior MVP, or you can go ahead and use, 3 morale. Almost always guarantee yourself an MVP. You want to build yourself a good team, either of elites or your current team, which would have to be really good epics to do a good amount of damage to the boss. But in general, what you really want to focus on are familiars that do single target massive damage. So let's say that a good familiar for this would be the evolution of Minotaur. I think it's called Prince something. Can't remember it off the top of my head, but it has massive damage to one target. Or you have an attack that doesn't do attack to multiple guys, you know, in a line, but does multiple attacks, like Rush or Berserk or Brawl, you know, 3 attacks to the boss or 6 attacks to the boss. Also Odin. But generally speaking, as long as it can just hit that one target really well, or multiple times, you want that. Things that are pretty useless are things that do multiple attacks. Like, unfortunately, Scythe Storm with the Warlord I chose isn't that good on my main account. This is kind of my demonstration account. that I showed you videos from. But yeah, also the purple knife is pretty useless in this event, although sometimes you can bind the boss, which is okay, you know. Sometimes nice for them to skip a turn if they're decimating your team. But generally speaking, it's a good event. If you don't want to waste all your bugles, don't, but you'll mostly make a lot of those bugles back, especially within the early amounts of the event. But one thing that you definitely want to keep in mind, and this is extremely important, do not waste all your bugles the first day, because as it goes on, you will see more of the bosses that give more points. So as you see more of those, although they're harder to kill, and some of them will expire, unfortunately, with the time limit going up, and so, you know, you kind of wasted your bugles on that particular boss. But although that will happen, when you do vanquish a boss, you will definitely get a ton of points. It's a lot better to defeat one of those stronger guys than 5 of the weakest ones. In fact, I believe that Magma Golem, Magma Giant, whatever, the first version, level 10, it gives so little points that it's barely even worth killing. You will run into one immediately as you start your first zone, like within the first 5 steps or something usually. And you can go ahead and kill that because you can kill it yourself, and it'll be pretty nice to get the killing blow bonus and the discover bonus. You'll get 2 bugles just for free. But generally speaking, you want to pass on that. And once you get to a certain point, you just want to skip all of the first evolution when you see it, because it's just not worth using your bugles on. So, if you have any questions, please ask in the comments section, and I'll answer them in a follow-up if needed be. But that's generally all you really need to know about the raid boss event. And this applies to any raid boss event, not just this one, although, you know, if you're participating in this one, it might make a little more sense because I'm actually showing the actual familiars. But, one more thing. With the cemetery, usually when you turn in your event coins, you will get, you know, commons, uncommons, but there is definitely a better chance of getting elites than, you know, let's say, you know, how on copper and silver coins, you know, they have a really low chance to get rare. Well, it's a lot higher, I'd say, with the event coins. So the more event coins you can get, the better. The more elite rares you'll probably get. And also, once in a while, during an event, they will introduce a few rares that are just brand new, but you can only get from the event coins temporarily. I'm sure some of you know this card. Oh my goodness, why do I keep dropping my mouse? Let me quickly type this in here. I spelled it wrong. Oh boy, sorry for wasting your time here. There he is. So I did spell it right the first time. Sergeant Dwacky. A very weird name. But at one point he was an event coin. What is it called? Rare. So you were only able to get him from event coins during the event. You couldn't trade him on the bazaar. And then once the event was over, he occasionally appears from silver or copper coins. But for a time, he was only available from event coins. So basically, that's all you really need to know. Once again, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments, and hopefully I didn't forget anything. Until next time.